was a dream that I saw. It was a dream that I saw.
Now, commence Operation Vacuum Suck. Suck, suck, suck.
Hello and welcome. In part 3 of this series, we will examine the question, is space a vacuum or is it in fact water? As the great late Nikola Tesla stated, there is no energy in matter other than that received from the environment. We'll get back to that later on. The Space Power Facility at NASA's Plumbrook Station, Sandusky, Ohio, is the world's largest and most powerful space environment facility. Located on a 6,400-acre property, construction costs, upkeep, and maintenance are astronomical. Even one would think it to make perfect sense to have astronauts train here and prepare them for the supposed vacuum of space. No astronaut training is going on here. The enormous vacuum chamber makes a high vacuum, which is 3 levels before the supposed much higher vacuum of outer space, as we can see here. Considering that the suits these guys here are wearing reminded me of one thing: bubble wrap. Now let's see what happens to bubble wrap if we put it in a table vacuum pump.
Oh my God, look at it! Woo! Oh my God, look at it!
And for anybody who has any doubts how powerful a vacuum can be and what it can do to a puny tin can of a spaceship, a wimpy space suit, or a small leak even in outer space, check this out.
We're loading 42-inch 480 wall steel pipe, 3 to a truck. Pipe are about 40 feet in length.
Artificial gravity failure.
Shit.
We're loading them with an AccuVac vacuum attachment on a 450 John Deere hoe. Pipe weigh about, I think I said the pipe weigh about 9,000 pounds a piece. This vacuum attachment will pick, this one I think will pick 30,000 pounds. That's 15 tons just on a vacuum.
The ridiculous spacesuits, which the Hollywood and NASA Freemasons like for us to accept as real, would suffer the same fate in the vacuum of space as bubble wrap in a tabletop vacuum chamber, being popped and depleted of oxygen instantly. And seeing as the human body mainly consists of water, the following clip will demonstrate what would happen to these astronauts.
can see a little bit of bubbles start going. And, whoa, it started boiling. How cool is that?
But the ultimate and most dangerous test was a huge, specially constructed vacuum chamber.
They were able to pull all the air out to create a big vacuum. That way we could test our suits to make sure there was no leakage.
One such test narrowly avoided disaster. Jim LeBlanc was the test subject in the vacuum chamber.
This is one of the rare instances where they tried to use a spacesuit in a vacuum chamber, but quickly realized that it's impossible in a high vacuum, so they immediately started using swimming pools to train and remained silent on the absence of vacuum chamber training by astronauts, which basically is a lie by omission.
As I stumbled backwards, I could feel the saliva on my tongue starting to bubble just before I went unconscious. And that's kind of the last thing I remember.
Essentially, he had no pressure on the outside of his body, and that's a very unusual case to get, and there's very little in the medical literature as to what happens when you have that. There's a lot of conjecture, that your fluids will boil,
You can see a little bit of bubbles start going.
I could feel the saliva on my tongue starting to bubble.
They weren't able to construct proper spacesuits, and they didn't want their spacemen to get boiled, so they went to the swimming pool.
Here's where they simulate fixing a space shuttle, fixing the ISS, or working with other modules.
It's the same as far as every rail, as far as every bolt, as far as where every rail should be in place. They have to go turn a bolt 98 times, space.
And which ISS module is in the pool right now?
Pretty much everything that we have in the pool except for the Russian segment.
They went from a no-pressure environment to a pressure environment, which makes no sense and simulates zero gravity only and exclusively for the camera.
He had no pressure on the outside of his body, and
I'm astonished by how difficult it is to actually move around. The idea, like from the movie Gravity, that you could like reach out and grab something with one of these gloves? No way. Not gonna happen.
They have to go turn a bolt 98 times.
That you could like reach out and grab something with one of these gloves? No way. Not gonna happen.
But what if there was some covert agenda that prepares these so-called astronauts for an anticipated advance into a liquid expand?
I'm recalibrating sensors. The entire region is filled with some kind of organic fluid. This isn't space. It's matter.
What was it Tesla had said? There's no energy in matter other than that received from the environment. If this holds true, how could billions of galaxies consisting of billions of stars receive all their energy from the nothingness of a complete vacuum of space? There's only one environment that actually provides not only energy, but apparently carries and transmits life itself, and that is water. It is also the only substance that exists in all three aggregate forms: solid, liquid, and gas. As it records information, water acquires new properties, yet its chemical composition remains unchanged.
The structure of water is much more important than the chemical composition.
The structure of water means how its molecules are organized. We can see how water molecules join together into groups. These are called clusters. These clusters work as memory cells of a certain sort, in which water records the whole history of its relationship with the world as if on magnetic tape. In each of water's memory cells there are 440,000 information panels, each of which is responsible for its own type of interaction with the environment.
If you consider a cluster as a group of specific molecules, then it can survive only a short amount of time. But if you consider it as a structure whereby molecules can leave and other molecules come in, the cluster can last effectively for a very long time.
The stability of the cluster structures confirm the hypothesis that water is capable of recording and storing information.
It may be the single most malleable computer, which can, it's like a computer memory. It's the memory of information.
Looking at the immense amount of water present on Earth, we can easily conclude that the memory information contained in these waters is so vast that it reaches back to the time it first appeared.
We must know how it is arranged. It is like the alphabet. If I give you the alphabet, you don't know a word, you don't know a letter, you don't know a sentence. So the molecular structure is the alphabet of water. And you must make a sentence out of water.
This so-called alphabet is the key to the information that water contains. All the knowledge of this world is right there. To decipher this molecular alphabet would unlock all secrets of nature. It is the key to a world led by beneficial spirituality, permanent physical health, and endless free energy. This parasitic filth have deceived, misled, and enslaved humanity into the belief of an insane scientism where our world is spinning in the nothingness of an ever-expanding vacuum, void of any purpose, defrauding humanity of its true heritage. The ongoing deception reaches from educational indoctrination to news media,
and a former astronaut says aliens exist.
And most importantly, entertainment.
Trust in me.
Something funny happens though when we take a closer look at things with our own eyes and examine the connection between the stars and water. First up, Venus, which looks like a coin in a very shallow stream of water. But what really caught my eye was Sirius. Made possible by microscopic photography, we can see that this crystal from distilled water bears a striking resemblance to the star Sirius.
What is this?